Welcome to another edition of Daily Airline News, focusing on the search for MH370. I'm Jeffrey Thomas, and I'm joined again by my co-host, Richard Godfrey. Good morning, Richard.
Good afternoon, Jeffrey.
Yeah, so let's kick off as usual with the MATA 7806. I know that it's not searching for MH370 right now, but lots of folks want to keep tabs on it. So perhaps you can give us a bit of an update.
Sure. Armada 7806 is still underway. It is now around the northern end of the Philippines and is heading out eastwards into the Pacific. It has certainly arrived at the Philippines, which is its destination, but it hasn't stopped. So the question is where it's off to.
Yeah, mind you, we do know they're a bit tardy with updating their destination, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
So what about our friends, the Chinese? What's happening there?
And TYSH is still going backwards and forwards along the Broken Ridge, still showing restricted status. It appears to be launching and recovering AUVs, and these AUVs seem to be heading off in a northerly direction. So they're going just south of Broken Ridge, and they're letting AUVs go northwards. So they will then cross Broken Ridge, and don't know quite what they're up to, but they're not currently in the MH370 search area.
Hmm, okay. Now we promised the viewers a special episode, and I know you've done a great deal of work on this, um, looking at what is and what is not in the public domain. So, what information about MH370 is not in the public domain?
There's a large volume of data that might well be helpful in solving the mystery of the disappearance of MH370 and even 11 years after the event. This ranges from military intelligence to individual eyewitness accounts. We're talking about radio and radar and satellite and mobile phone data. We're talking about aircraft sightings and ship sightings and debris finds. We're talking about seismic and hydroacoustic and tsunami early warning systems data. We're talking about CCTV footage and emails and social media accounts and also the home flight simulator data. We still don't have all of that data. We're showing
Mm.
a overview, a screenshot listing out the missing data that would be helpful.
Okay, so what official information about MH370 is in the public domain?
Well, there's quite a lot. The official Malaysian investigation is 1,423 pages long, so contains a lot of stuff. But it ends up with the following statement. In conclusion, the team is unable to determine the real cause for the disappearance of MH370. So, a lot of information, but it doesn't help to get to a conclusion. The ATSB produced a final report of the official search for MH370, another 440 pages, and it concludes the reasons for the loss of MH370 cannot be established with certainty until the aircraft is found. It is almost inconceivable and certainly societally unacceptable in the modern aviation era with 10 million passengers boarding commercial aircraft every day for a large commercial aircraft to be missing and for the world not to know with certainty what became of the aircraft and those on board. I would remind viewers the search efforts to locate the vanished flight have spanned several years, cost over $225 million US, which includes the 70 million from Ocean Infinity, and is considered to be the most extensive multinational air and sea search in the history of aviation.
One of the things also we should remind viewers is that Malaysians exonerated the captain and the first officer um,
Yeah,
in their
and
report.
and we're showing a screenshot of the radar coverage of the area. Um, that's one of the things that's missing. The Malaysians, the civilian radar was leaked, but the military radar is still not been shared publicly, and neither the radar from the surrounding countries like Indonesia or Thailand or India.
Okay, so what electronic data is still out there which could be useful, Richard?
Well, satellite data for one thing. There are currently 11,833 active satellites in Earth orbits. Back in 2014, MH370 was possibly detected by 742 satellites. So this includes optical, infrared, radar imagery. These satellites designed for communication or weather reporting, or in many cases specifically for military intelligence. So there's a lot of data from the satellites, but there's also radar data, both military and civilian, from Malaysia and the surrounding countries. There's radio communications from other aircraft and ships and even radio amateurs who picked up radio signals. There are AWACS data from aircraft from Australia, India, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Singapore. There is ACARS data from other flights from the aircraft 9M MRO, and this week, under a non-disclosure agreement, we've received some of that data, but there's still more to be had. Malaysian Airlines also have engineering data for the aircraft going back since they bought the plane, and that would be interesting to have. It hasn't been released, and the FBI still haven't released all of the data on the home flight simulator, and there's some CCTV footage out there from security cameras, but by no means all of the data from that angle. Mobile phone records, social media data, you name it. There's a lot of information still to be had.
Okay, so physical evidence, there's still some out there which could be useful.
Indeed. There's never been a systematic search of the 16,000 kilometers of coastline from the 12 countries that border the Indian Ocean, where debris may well have washed up. On top of those countries, 226 inhabited islands and 1,188 uninhabited islands in the Indian Ocean. So would be a massive task, but we haven't even started on that one. There are also three hydroacoustic stations. Australia has one in Cape Lewin. France has one in the Crozet Islands, and there's also one on Diego Garcia. And these stations listen out for any underwater sounds that and record those sounds. It'd be lovely to have all of that data in the public domain. There are also seismic stations. The Australians have one in the Heard Islands. There's one in Kenya, in South Africa, India, the Comoros Islands, Seychelles Islands, Réunion, and they can pick up any tremor, and it'd be not lovely to have that data. Um, then there are tsunami early warning stations, and there's a network of 11 seafloor pressure sensors in the Indian Ocean, and we haven't had that data in the public domain. And there are potential observations. There were 470 aircraft flying over the Indian Ocean, and we've only identified four so far, and none of those four have produced any result of a sighting of MH370. And there are potential observations from 16 ships, which were known to have been in the MH370 search area at the time of the crash. And we're showing a picture of those ships and the path they were following at the time back in 2014.
So, which countries can help us with more information on MH370?
Well, a whole bunch of countries. The USA number one because it has 51 satellites and with potential data of MH370. It also has hydroacoustic data from Diego Garcia. The US Navy may well have some data from Diego Garcia. They have over the horizon radar systems, and we mentioned the FBI data on the home flight simulator. The Chinese have 40 satellites. The Russians have six. Japan has five. Europe has another five satellites. Also, another hydroacoustic station, and also a superdan on the Kerguelen Islands, which is a kind of radar system which would be useful to have data from. Australia has an over-the-horizon radar, which we've talked about. It also has hydroacoustic data, seismic data, AWACS early warning aircraft with data. Malaysia, India, Indonesia, Thailand, Singapore have all got radar data. South Africa, Mozambique, Tanzania, Kenya, Somalia, Madagascar, Réunion, Seychelles, and the Comoros Islands and the Maldive Islands could all help with a coastal search. We've talked about the AWACS data from India, Pakistan, Singapore, and Saudi Arabia. And India, Indonesia, and Sri Lanka have seismic systems also offshore in the Indian Ocean. So it would be lovely to have that information and see if it gives us any clues. We're showing a screenshot of the 67,664 flights routes globally back in 2014. Nearly 6,000 were countries bordering the Indian Ocean. And out of that, as I said, 470 flights were over the Indian Ocean. So, has there been any systematic requests to all of those aircraft and their pilots for any sighting? I mean, these pilots, like the guys on ships, are trained observers. They're trained to look out for any other aircraft or any other ships. So, what have they seen? And there's been no reports at all from that score until Captain Martin Smith came up, but that was the day after MH370. What about reports from the day itself?
It seems extraordinary that that much information is still out there. Although, in one sense, we know, for instance, for a fact that Blaine Gibson has handed some debris in at various places around the Pacific, the Indian Ocean islands, and Malaysia has not bothered to pick it up. So, in one sense, it's just, you know, they really are dragging their feet big time on this. There seems to be a complete lack of interest in really coming to a conclusion.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to get the data that we're missing, another thing is then to analyze it. And it's a huge
Yeah,
amount of data, so it'll take a lot of people and a lot of experts in each field to look at it.
yeah.
But if we get items of debris, for example, and then don't bother to analyze them, I'm sorry, I just think they've lost the plot.
Oh, definitely. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Well, look, thank you so much for your work on this, Richard. That's an amazing document, an amazing piece of work, and really underscores um, the fact that so many countries are not contributing to this. They're not, but Malaysia itself is not obviously not pressuring them for that information. So where the fault lies, we don't know. But what we do know, as I said earlier, is Malaysia itself is just appears to be dragging its feet. There's no other conclusion you can come to but that.
Indeed, and that's the reason why there are so many independent investigators
Mm,
looking into MH370 because they clearly see, and maybe the viewers have got other ideas of data that could give us clues. And we welcome comments and questions from the viewers on that side. Uh, and there's a lot that could be done, and there might well be room for, once we get data, for having a kind of crowd sourcing and spreading out the investigation into that information in a wider group of people.
indeed, indeed. So, viewers, thank you very much for watching. We're going to take a break for 2 days, Friday and Saturday. We're going to come back to you on Sunday with viewer questions, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions after this episode. So send them all in, and we'll analyze them over the next couple of days and give you a package on Sunday. Um, but thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Please like us. Please leave those comments. And Richard, once again, thank you very much indeed for your effort on this really special edition.
You're welcome.
Thank you.